So Diontae Johnson found a new team, and that new team is the Houston Texans, with Tank Dell suffering that brutal injury, torn ACL, dislocated kneecap. Who knows how long he's going to be out for? At least a whole year, more than likely. So I don't think his career is done by any means, but a dislocated kneecap is some pretty gnarly stuff, some pretty serious stuff. So it's definitely going to be a long, long road for his comeback. But in the meantime, the Texans are a playoff team, and they're still obviously trying to win games and compete in January. So adding Diontae Johnson makes a lot of sense for sure. They actually have some They actually have two pretty wild divas on their team as of today with Diontae Johnson and Stephon Diggs. Maybe the GM kind of trusts D'Amico Ryans and that locker room to kind of keep Diontae Johnson in check. If they do keep him in check and they just keep him happy or just kind of contain his personality, I feel like he can be very productive, man, because, take away his personality, take away his certain traits off the field, socially. I think the dude is a stud. I think he's a baller. I think he's a great football player. And I think he could definitely help out this team a lot. Anybody to Anybody that can take extra attention away from Nico Collins is definitely going to do wonders for CJ Stroud. And I really feel like CJ Stroud needs all the help he can get this year. Really, really disappointing year from CJ Stroud in year two. Definitely a fall from grace compared to how he was looking his rookie year. MVP caliber type of quarterback play, and this year just a pure sophomore slump. Just has not looked great all year, has looked really, really off, and that Chiefs game was especially really disappointing. I know he was obviously super emotional post the Tank Dell injury. They're really close friends. They've been friends for a minute, and fair play, super emotional stuff, but that game was really, really winnable, man. And he just didn't look good that game either, man. Turned the ball over, a few delay of game penalties, and just looked really off. And that's just been the story all year long. I'm really curious to see how in January in the playoffs on that Saturday 4:30 window. Of course, whenever the Texans get into the playoffs, they always host that Saturday 4:30 game, and I feel like for as long as I could remember, I feel like they always win that game. Now, honestly, it depends on who they match up, but I just really want to see them and see what they have in store for us. They won against the Browns a year ago. Joe Flacco completely self-destructed. I believe he threw 2 pick sixes that game. I don't know. I just feel like this is a bottom tier playoff team. Obviously, you have the Chiefs, the Bills up there in the top tier, and kind of the middle tier. You have the Texans, the Broncos, the Chargers. I think the Ravens are definitely up there with the Chiefs as well. But just based on how they've looked throughout the entirety of this season so far, they're just screaming to me as a one and done team in the wild card round. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow snuck out and won in round one. So I'm just really curious and excited to see how they do. You let me know if you think they're going to be a one and done team, and have you been impressed with CJ Stroud? Now, for Diontae Johnson, I think he has to kind of have the awareness that, yo, I got to lock in here. I got to be on my best behavior because my reputation has kind of taken a hit, especially when a good organization like the Baltimore Ravens trade for a player, and then what, 2-3 weeks later they just cut him. I don't know, man. That's just a gigantic red flag. If it was like a dysfunctional franchise that did that like the Jets, the Giants, the Browns, any one of those bottom tier franchises, fair play. The Ravens have been fairly successful franchise since the early 2000s, man. So I don't know. It's just not a good look. And he just has to know that this could be it. This could be my last shot. I gotta be a good boy. I gotta, control myself. And, from an actual on the field side of things, I feel like he's going to get a lot of opportunities here. I feel like the Texans will put him in good opportunities to get targets to be successful. So, again, I don't know if he'll play on Christmas against the Ravens, which is really ironic that his first game is against the team that just cut him. He could play. I feel like he will get some snaps. It would be hilarious if he had any sort of impact on the game at all. I think that would be just a great storyline heading into that game. So I'm rooting for him, even though I don't know if I should be, but I guess I'm just a sucker for comeback stories. And when guys have their backs against the wall. So hopefully he helps out CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, because when that offense is clicking, it's a good time. It's a really good time. I really feel like the best game the Texans have played all year was that Lions game. They just unfortunately didn't play a complete game, but offensively, defensively, matching up against probably the best team in the NFL, they were going hit for hit that Sunday Night Football game, and they should have won it. They just came out on the unlucky side and took the L, but they were clicking that game. They're a fun team to watch. It's just they haven't really been fun the large portion of this year. But yeah, man, the second Christmas game, Texans hosting the Ravens, should be a great measuring stick for the Texans, because as of right now, they will be playing the Ravens in round 1 in Houston. So I hope it's a competitive game. I hope it's close, and I hope the Texans could win, because I feel like that would make round 1 definitely a lot more interesting, rather than Lamar just coming in and destroying the Texans. Playoff football, it should be the best versus the very best, ultra high competitive games. No one likes blowout playoff games. No one likes these crazy, boring Super Bowls where it's just complete annihilations. So you let me know if you think the Texans will take the win on Christmas Day against the Ravens, or do you think Lamar will have another MVP sort of performance? You let me know in the comments below. If you made this far, please subscribe and like the vid. It really help out your boy a lot. That's all I got for right now. Peace.
The Jets, good job that time moving the chains, picking up that first down. And Jim, of course, there's no time to panic in a situation like this. I think they know that. It's in the second half. You're down just a few points. Just keep looking for ways to get another first down, and that'll serve your team well. Good job by the offense getting the first down in the red zone. Now becomes tricky. Can you deceive the defense where you get a chance to get a score?
First and goal from the 3. Powell, touchdown, Jets. Powell's caught his first touchdown of the season. The Jets offense preparing to get this drive underway. Their last drive actually ended in a touchdown, Phil. We'll see if they still have it in them to issue a repeat performance.
Well, what you saw in that last drive was everything just came together perfectly for them. The experience of the football team, the talent of the players, and the coaches helped them out, and they got it done.
The Colts come out in a dime package out of the shotgun formation. This goes incomplete as he was looking over the middle. Big third down coming up here. The Jets get set at the line. needing to get to the 30 for a first. My goodness, what a hit. And the ball falls incomplete.
Sometimes when you have a lead, your defense is on the field. You just want one of your guys to come through and make a play. That time, nice play by the defensive player. Now it's 4th down for the offense.
The Jets turn the ball over on downs. And he'll go back to the